Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Video Clips, which is brought to you by WellnessForumHealth, the Wellness Forum Institute, and Make Americans Free Again. We're taking applications to start a Food Over Medicine Club or a Make Americans Free Again tribe. We're building an informed society, health, medicine, and legal. So if those topics interest you, send me an email, pampopper@wellnessforum.com. And coming up very soon, our 9-hour program spread over 3 days, June 10, 11, 12. It's free health education. It's Make Americans Healthy Again Wellness Forum style. You guys know how we do things, those of you who've had a lot of interaction with us. The topics are amazing. We're going to talk about all this controversy over dietary fat and cholesterol and did humans ever eat a paleo diet? Evidence for and against. DMSO, miracle supplement or snake oil, thyroid health, a discussion about nutrition policy in America, what's with the seed oils, all that kind of stuff, and lots more. So it's free. All you have to do is send me an email at pampopper@wellnessforum.com and we will get you registered for that. And remember the membership drive. Join Wellness Forum. I can send you a video, tell you all about it, all the benefits and all that. But you also get a gift certificate equal to your dues that you can apply to things like the Winner's Circle, my behavior change program, autoimmune disease boot camp. I just added a research boot camp that's going to be fun, interactive. You guys are going to pick the topics. We're going to research together. So lots of great stuff coming up. And speaking of great stuff, here is news item number one, which is a win in Massachusetts. So I told you before, litigation is like watching paint dry, and patience and perseverance are required. But for those of us who are patient and willing to watch the paint dry, eventually it does dry and good things happen. There are wins to be had, and we just had one. So the backstory is a few years ago, like so many health providers, our plaintiff, a registered nurse who was mostly working at home, lost her job because she didn't want to get the COVID jab for a lot of reasons, including the fact that she was pregnant at the time. So she filed for a religious exemption. Her employer denied it. And one of our wonderful MAFA lawyers, Patrick Dobert, filed a lawsuit alleging religious discrimination. Now, there's been a lot of back and forth in this case. It's gone on for years, mainly concerning the employer attempting again and again to get the case dismissed. And most recently, the employer asked for summary judgment, which is granted when there are no issues of material fact to litigate. And the court denied the motion and ruled in our favor, which means that we're either going to propose to settlement talks or a jury trial. The ball's in the defendant's court. The employer we sued on our nurse plaintiff's behalf is the defendant. She's a wonderful, educated, well-spoken mother of two who would do very well in front of a jury. I'm sure the defendants know this, but we'll leave it up to them. Large settlement or trial, either way, things look really good for our side. So the paint eventually does dry and good things happen. And you probably have noticed I'm reporting more good things because a lot of these cases were filed at the same time and they're coming and things are happening and they're coming to fruition at similar times too. So I'm sure I'll have even more to report next week. And then here's a headline that caught my eye on MedPage, which is a very conventional news feed. I get something from them 2 or 3 times a day. And here's what the headline was. U.S. hasn't seen a human bird flu case in 3 months. Experts are wondering why. Well, according to this article, health officials are mystified by how fast bird flu disappeared. And they have some interesting explanations for this, which include government cuts and terminations that interfere with the search for cases. That the authors actually use this phrase, and migrants who might be afraid to come forward for fear of deportation. Quote, we just don't know why there haven't been more cases, says Jennifer Nuzzo, director of the Pandemic Center at Brown University. I think we should assume there are infections that are occurring in farm workers that just aren't being detected. Michael Osterholm, a card-carrying member of the Covidian cult, also thinks that infections are going undetected and claims to be worried that, quote, efforts to find them have been eroding. Surveillance is urgently needed among domestic cats, said Kristen Coleman, a PhD researcher at the University of Maryland College Park who studies emerging animal diseases. They seem to be collectively suffering incredible angst as a result of bird flu disappearing and the fact that we're not battling another pandemic right now. So what is going on? Well, I've been writing about public health's determination, in this particular case with bird flu, to kill two birds with one stone, the creation of food shortages and another COVID type debacle since 2022. And what happened in 2022 was the COVID debacle was clearly winding down. Fewer and fewer people were willing to go along with it, so a new crisis was needed. And voila, bird flu. That was the thing that was invented. Idiots like Neil Ferguson and Michael Greger, who'd predicted that bird flu was going to kill us all for the last 25 years, had lots of fake data that they were willing to share. Some of it sounded really scary. And the massive killing of tens of millions of birds began. This really gathered some momentum last fall when an international conference on bird flu was held in DC to talk about interesting topics like how to use police power to quarantine and force vaccinate people and how to conduct mass surveillance to keep people in line. We were all being told that our cats were likely carriers. Massive testing was taking place on farms all over the country, and three states even declared a state of emergency. But the best laid plans, sometimes don't work out. And in this case, the November election, followed by the appointment of many people who were vocal critics of the COVID debacle, are now in charge. There are even some in key health related positions, like Brooke Wallens at USDA, Marty Makary and Vinay Prasad at FDA, RFK at the Department of Health and Human Services, and Jay Bhattacharya at the National Institutes of Health. There's not going to be a fake pandemic on their watch, and that's why bird flu disappeared. The people in charge, at least right now, don't want a fake pandemic. What we have to keep in mind, however, is how easy it really is to gin up a fake pandemic and how profitable it is for drug and vaccine makers, and how mentally unhinged people like Fauci and the infamous Dr. Varma, he was the guy having sex parties in New York during the lockdown that he declared. These people love the power that they only get to enjoy with fake pandemics and scare events. They're little people with no qualifications to do anything except things like fake pandemics. They're helpful also for political parties that seek to control people as well. So it's important to remember that these types of people are out there. Some of the people that were quoted in this article about where did all the bird flu go are those types of people. They're lamenting the fact that there's no crisis to respond to. But we're just one election away from another COVID type debacle. It took Joe Biden less than 1 hour after he was elected to recommit the US to fund and join the World Health Organization. It was only a few weeks until the vaccine mandates and masking on all transportation began. And only a year later, the Biden administration started orchestrating the next fake emergency with bird flu. We were saved by the bell this time. This is why forming tribes and raising money for lawyers is really important. I mean, we do have the luxury of no real crisis for now, but it's transient and it can change anytime due to politics or careless scientists making pathogens in labs or public health running amok again, just as it has for decades previous to COVID. So I know that it's easy to get distracted by normalcy. Everybody was so desperate to go back to normal living. And the first thing was the end of the lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. And then the second thing was the breath of fresh air to just not have so much regulatory pressure right now. But it is transient and it's administration based, and it's nothing is forever, including peace and quiet. So if we're smart, we'll learn from the past and realize that had we been organized when 2020 happened, life would have been very different in a very positive way. We can be organized now. We have the makings of being organized. Many of our tribes survived and still continue to meet. Our litigation is still alive. We can raise more money and file more lawsuits that are directed at changing the medical culture to one of more informed consent. And I'll tell you why this is so important. I want to talk about this for just a minute. Um, Practices that become, common culturalize people to think and behave in a certain way. All right. So let me explain what I mean by that as that pertained to COVID. So during the COVID debacle, you saw all those cars lining up, and I did anyway, on fairgrounds and stuff like that. Open the window, put out their arm, get a shot. People lined up all over the place to get the shot. Nobody reading anything, the whole 9 yards. Well, that has been part of our culture. Do what you're told in medicine, right? It's been going on for a long time. So just think how it would have been, how it would have gone had informed consent laws been enforced. And every time a person, including you or me, would visit a doctor or a healthcare provider of any type, we would hear, well, this is what you have, or this is what I'm recommending that you do. Let me give you some things to read so you know the risks and benefits. And there's some alternatives that you might want to consider as well. And then there is the choice to do nothing. And you should know that that's available and what the consequences of that might be. That's the definition, legal definition of informed consent. And you've probably never had it, and either have I. But had that been the way medicine was conducted, think about those lines at the fairgrounds. People would have said, give me the documents I'm supposed to read. I'm going to go over there and look at them, and then I'll let you know what I'm going to do. And nobody would have read truthful documents about the shots, for example, and agreed to get one. Nobody, right? So the problem could not have happened. What happened in 2020, 2021, et cetera, it could not happen in a society where informed consent was not only the law, but it is the way that things are done. And so that's something I really want to work on when we get to the end of all the COVID litigation and spend time on. So there are many, many reasons right now to start tribes, to raise money, to build a bigger presence, to build massive numbers of people into who join together with a very simple thing that we can all agree on: freedom from medical tyranny. That's it. Keep things simple. Don't take on projects we shouldn't be taking on and about which we don't have expertise, and don't try to do too many things at once, right? That's it. Freedom from medical tyranny and medical excess and malpractice. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you, that I don't think our work is done. I think we have to tackle that, and it will also take money and organization and attorneys and that sort of thing, which brings me back to why you want to start a tribe. It's the best decision I ever made. I promise you it'll be the best you ever made. It's not difficult. It just requires commitment, like all good things in life. And so a lot to talk about here. And I smiled when I read the MedPage article about where the bird flu go. Gosh, we were so, you could just feel it in the things they were saying. We were so geared up to do this. We were so excited to scare people half to death and get our power back. And then it just got taken away. But it can come back just as quickly. Let's keep that in mind. Don't like to talk about doom and gloom, but I do like to talk about being prepared. And that's really what this is all about. All right, so keep in mind, donations always welcome. That's how we pay our lawyers. Start a group. If you're interested in the free stuff Wellness Forum is offering, send me an email at pampopper@wellnessforum.com. And then, of course, as usual, pass this video on to other people so that they can learn about this kind of stuff too. And I'll be back to you next week with more news. Thank you so much for watching.